Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels. It's Tuesday night, May 22nd, 2018, and today, Stephen King's new novel, The Outsider, was released. In honor of the occasion, I thought I'd do something a little different in celebration of my favorite author. I plan on doing more book-themed videos from time to time in the future. Mostly horror, of course. But don't worry, guys, it won't interfere with my movie-themed videos. There are plenty more to come. And Gabby Hernandez, if you're watching, I'll be filming a Goosebumps themed video soon. But this video is strictly Stephen King. Since this is my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels, I will not be including any of his story collections in this list. I have read, and I own, just about everything he has ever written, and that is available to the general public. And that includes a lot of unreleased and unpublished works. With that being said, my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels are probably a lot different than most. But hey, it's just my personal opinion. So here they are, my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels. Coming in at number 5 is Gerald's Game. Now I know this one probably wouldn't be on a lot of other people's top 5 favorites, but I love it. And I have to say, the movie adaptation of this book is probably one of the closest adaptations I've ever seen. Don't get me wrong, it leaves a lot out. It has to. The book always has more. But as far as Stephen King adaptations go, Gerald's Game is definitely one of the best. This book is fantastic in the sense that you really only have one character. You know, there are other side characters here and there, but for brief periods of time. For the majority of the novel, you're alone with Jessie Burlingame. You see what she sees, you hear what she hears, you feel how she feels. It's terrifying. If you were to read the synopsis, you would probably be wondering, how can Stephen King keep the reader engaged for over 300 pages about a girl handcuffed to bedposts? But he can do it, and he does. Now, just like with my movie videos, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will say the most genuinely scary thing about this novel is the Moonlight Man. Those chapters are just terrifying. Gerald's Game is fast-paced, has an interesting protagonist, and a truly exciting climax, making it my number 5 favorite Stephen King novel. Coming in at number 4 is Pet Sematary. You've all seen the movie, and since you have, you pretty much know what to expect with the book. It's the movie and more. I love it. This was actually the first Stephen King book that I ever read, and man, did it stick with me. In the novel, you get much more insight into Louis Creed's thought process, so it all makes sense. In the movie, you're kind of wondering why he keeps making the same mistake over and over again. You know, after burying the cat, after getting the warnings from Judd, who has a wife in the novel, by the way, you know, you start to question if you even like Lewis anymore by the end of the movie, because he's kind of doing it to himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still feel for him. You still kind of question, would you do the same thing if you were in that horrible situation? But at least in the book, it makes a lot more sense. In the novel, we also get a nice Halloween chapter, which is great because I love all things Halloween. So that's pretty much an extra bonus as well. But other than that, I really don't need to say too much more about Pet Sematary. You guys know what it's about. I'm sure most of you have seen the movie, and I'm sure some of you have probably even read the book. So Pet Sematary is my number 4 pick in my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels. Coming in at number 3 is Revival. Now this is one of King's newer novels, being released only a couple of years ago, but it is one of my absolute favorites. Unfortunately, it's also the book on this list that I'm going to have to say the least about, because I don't want to spoil anything. To give a very brief and very vague synopsis, this one is about a reverend who loses his family in a car accident and loses his entire world and faith in the process. Because of this horrible tragedy, he becomes obsessed and addicted with finding out what exists on the other side of life. I will say that this book right here has the absolute scariest ending of anything I have ever read or any movie I have ever watched. Ever. Seriously, it's horrifying. Stephen King's Revival is a great mix of horror and coming-of-age story. So if you like both of those genres, you will probably love this. And did I mention how scary the ending is? Revival, number 3 in my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels. Coming in at number 2 is Rage. You may recognize this book from my first Random Rarities video in which I showed this. As you can see, it says a novel by Richard Bachman. And for those of you who don't know, Richard Bachman was a pen name that Stephen King used early in his career. This right here is the rarest of all Stephen King's books and the only one no longer in print. Stephen King himself allowed the book to go out of print due to the nature of the story. It revolves around a school shooting. Charlie, the narrator of the novel, is charming, likable, but he's also the shooter. This book is gripping, from the very first page to the very last. It really holds your attention, and I actually read it in one sitting the first time I read it. Granted, it's not a long novel, but I just couldn't put it down. Copies of Rage, even in this condition, go for upwards of $500. I've seen a copy worse than this go for around $800. It's crazy. It's completely understandable why King wants this book out of print. I get it. But as a work of fiction, which is what it was, is one of his best. And it's my second favorite Stephen King novel. And so, that brings us to number 1. My all-time favorite Stephen King novel is The Long Walk. This is another book Stephen King wrote under the name Richard Bachman, and he actually wrote this one in college. The Long Walk is pretty much the Hunger Games before the Hunger Games. It's Battle Royale before Battle Royale. It's The Condemned before The Condemned. The Long Walk focuses on 100 boys who literally just walk. It's a 450-mile marathon walk, beginning with 100 competitors and ending when only one remains. Because if they can't keep up with a 4-mile-per-hour pace, they're done. And not done as in out, as in disqualified. They don't just lose, they lose their lives. Because they are being watched every step of the way by the military. In fairness, they do get 3 chances. Slow down once, you get a warning. Slow down twice, you get a sterner warning. Slow down 3 times? Well, you can probably guess what happens at that point. That's what the armed guards are for. But here's the kicker. All of the boys competing actually volunteered to take part in the walk, because the winner will receive the reward of his dreams. I read The Long Walk at least once a year. I love it that much. It just pulls you in and you can't stop thinking about it. When you're not reading it, you're thinking about the characters, and it's like you're there with them in the competition. It's almost like being a sports fan. You know, as a Patriots fan, you know, I watch them week after week, and I'm on this high if they win. You know, I'm so ecstatic over it. And then when they lose, I'm so upset, you know, as if I'm part of the team, you know. I'm not getting paid to be on the team. I'm not playing. But for some reason, I act as if it affects me somehow personally. And that's kind of how you feel reading the book. You know, you pick your competitor or competitors, you know, knowing that there's only going to be one winner. Even still, there are many characters that you end up liking. And you just hope that one of them wins the thing. The Long Walk is actually my second favorite novel of all time by any author. But it's my number 1 favorite Stephen King novel. So that's it, guys, for my top 5 favorite Stephen King novels. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I know it's a little different than what I usually do, but as I said, I plan to do some more book-themed videos in the future. Comment below, let me know if you're a Stephen King fan, and if so, which of his books is your favorite. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.